Big 12 football on Fox College Sports is brought to you by Philips HD. The images that move you the most are what we deliver the best. Manhattan, Kansas, the scene. It's a sea of purple. This crowd is fired up, but they have returned home after a rough road test last week against Texas Tech, where the Red Raiders put up 66 on the board. So back home for 4 of their next 5. A&M leads 8-5 in this all-time series, which began back in 1912, and the Wildcats 21-19 against the Big 12 South. Now, Kansas State did win the toss. They declined to receive, so they'll kick it away here at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. There's a look at Mike Sherman, the former head coach and GM of the Green Bay Packers. Second season at Texas A&M, 59-43-0 as head coach of the Packers from 2000 to 2005. On the other sideline, a familiar face for college football fans. There he is, the 70-year-old Bill Snyder, 18th year at Kansas State, 139, 71-1 record, and he's 25-19 in October since 1996. And Yogi, of course, we talked about it a couple of weekends ago. One of the great all-time stories in college football, Bill Snyder.
Yeah, he is. I got a chance to spend about 30 minutes in his office the other day with Samantha. It was exciting. It was electric. He is the type of guy who is very fired up for the opportunity which exists today.
All right, welcome in. Here we go. KSO Classic, second episode of season 2, ready to go. I got to get the FSN music going in the background. I mean, that's just... That is my childhood right there. That's what I associate with. You know, everybody talks about like, oh, well, you know, the CBS SEC music was the best for college football. Or, you know, I know that some people a little bit older than us, more in the John Kurtz, Scott Wildcat age bracket, since that was a topic of discussion recently. They prefer like the older ESPN. This is mainly John. I don't know about Scott. I was just taking a shot at his age because we talked about it last night. But they prefer like the older ESPN, ABC music. For me, I want to be listening to this at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday on FSN. This is what I associate with and remember. And it really is. It's quality. I would rather them use this now for Fox's stuff as opposed to the college-ified version of the NFL Fox theme. But excited to take a look back at another game that features Colin Klein, as we will continue through the first couple of weeks of KSO Classic to lock in on games that include the new K-State head coach. This one a little bit different. This is not heavily featuring him. There are a couple of plays, one very significant one. But this is one that really is just, you know, this comes from a time period where you and I, like, we're at an age where we remember some good chunks about this stuff, but like I think some of it's still a little fuzzy. I was 11 years old when this game got played, and you look back and you go, holy cow, like 62 points. What went on? And the game plays out exactly how you would imagine. So K-State, Texas A&M, 2009. What were your initial thoughts going into it, and then kind of the prevailing thoughts throughout the rewatch?
Yeah, coming into it, I remembered the score, and I remembered what happened the week before, because I remembered like being at this game and everybody kind of not knowing what to expect after just crushing the week before, and wondering how they get to 62, and just kind of where the Klein catch was, because, you know, we've talked about it a lot. I was just thinking, where is that actually going to be in the game? And then seeing it, and as I was watching it, the more that I kept thinking to myself, man, Mike Sherman is lucky that Bill Snyder called off the dogs a little bit. Like, this could have easily been like 73-7. I think that if K-State actually like really tried in the second half, and like we'll talk a little bit, because on my rewatch, and I rewatched this with my parents and my wife last night, my parents' first ever rewatch of a KSO Classic game.
Nice.
My dad was quick to point out at the end of the first half that he thought that Daniel Thomas got hurt on his last touchdown run, and that's why he didn't come back in, and not that it was the score. So, well, we can embrace debate. Was he actually hurt, or was it the score?
That's an astute observation by your dad, because that didn't even cross my mind. I was thinking that the game's out of hand and they're being nice. And I mean, Keithan Valentine ran really well in this game too. So you're like, well, let's get him out there, give him some opportunities. But, you go back and look at it, and Daniel Thomas not being able to get those opportunities in the second half, he easily should be tied for the most touchdowns in a game in K-State history, and really could have had the chance to have the record all to himself, and he would have been a worthy holder of that record. Instead, it remains 3 quarterbacks at the top for K-State with 5 rushing touchdowns in a game, with obviously Colin Klein being one of them, Avery Johnson at Texas Tech. Texas Tech, for what they were, basically all their time in the Big 12 outside of 1 year, doormats and losers. And then Jonathan Beasley. So
which is funny because like Daniel Thomas would have been tied with Jonathan Beasley for a long time until that the triple overtime game, and then Avery Johnson. So like it is a kind of a history alterer.
Really tough times for Texas A&M their last 2 visits to Manhattan when you note that way that they gave up 9 touchdowns to 2 guys.
What a shame.
Really 10, because Colin caught a touchdown in this game. So they gave up 10 touchdowns to 2 guys their last 2 trips to Manhattan, and some others along the way. So we'll have a good time looking back and talking about this one. And look, the game starts, Texas A&M gets the ball. They've just gotten to kind of discussing, hey, they are trying out some new guys. They might be banged up, but also they really think these guys are talented. They're playing more of them. And that really becomes something that is emphasized throughout the game. And almost like Texas A&M came in with a built-in excuse for if things got bad, like, hey, we're trying some new things out. You think these guys might be good, but they're really young. So you just got shredded by Grant Gregory. I don't know that youth has anything to do with it. And also Von Miller was basically unheard from in this game. He barely noticeable, which is also nothing new when Texas A&M brings a supposedly really good defensive end to play K-State. You think about Myles Garrett, didn't do jack in that Texas Bowl. So we'll get into all of that. But we always like to discuss the uniform matchup in these games, give it a ranking. And everybody knows, because we talked about it last year, I am not a hater of the 2007 to 2009 jerseys. I think that they were actually better than what people like to give them credit for. I am aware, it's attached to Ron Prince, so there's some stink to it. And the purple pants, I think that's why some people hold prejudice against the purple pants still, is because of what Ron Prince did to them. But I will contend that this was a really good modernization of what K-State had worn basically since Bill Snyder had been in charge, with the little stripes on the sleeves. It gives a nod to the traditional there. I think that the 2007 to 2009 jerseys are actually a fairly clean look, and I will defend them. And I kind of like the little minor gray outline around the numbers. It just adds a little bit more flair to it a little bit. And that kind of goes to, I really like the Chicago White Sox road uniforms where it's black number, and a little white outline on gray. It's just enough contrast to catch your eye. So I will defend it. However, this was a terrible era for Adidas uniforms.
Yes.
They look like practice jerseys. They're not very good. So I gave this a 6.7 because there's nothing good about what Texas A&M wore in this game.
See, I even went lower than you because of the A&M jersey. Like the K-State jersey, I think is fine. And I like that it has K-State on it at the top. But A&M's was so bad that I gave this a 5.3 because there's nothing appealing about what Texas A&M wore in this game because Adidas was so bad in this era.
Yeah, they were really bad. By the way, just we'll have some reports from her later in the game. But the immediate thing, we like to take stock of, hey, who's calling the game, who's on the broadcast crew. Sam Ponder, before the ESPN days, before she got married to Christian Ponder, was doing sidelines for this game that probably only 10,000 people watched on TV because it was on FCS, not even FSN. So that caught my eye. And then I was going the whole time, I was like, the guy doing the play-by-play sounds really, really familiar. And they never actually cut to the guys in the booth until the end of the game after it had ended. and it pops up, and I go, oh my goodness, it's Dan McLaughlin is the play-by-play guy. He was the longtime play-by-play voice on TV for the St. Louis Cardinals, and it all kind of clicked to me and made sense. And I always kind of liked him on Cardinals games. The analyst for this game was a guy named Yogi Roth. Have you ever heard of that guy, Drew?
No, but he brings the broadcast down so bad.
Yeah, this is like when was it the 2019 game that like Shane Vereen called on FS1 for K-State and KU, and it was just kind of like, I don't think this is going to work out for you. Yogi Roth played at Pitt as a wide receiver from 2000 to 2003. In his career, Drew, do you want to guess how many catches he had?
Well, considering Larry Fitzgerald was there at this time also, I would say like 10.
Pretty close. 15 for 133. Never scored a touchdown in his career at Pitt. So, yeah, he very limited, but I did do some reading. He then somehow immediately got a job from 05 to he got let go sometime before the 09 season started. He was the quarterback's coach for Pete Carroll at USC. I know. Bizarre. And now I think he's doing like other stuff too that says that he's a filmmaker and an author and all this stuff. He's coaching Elite 11 quarterbacks at this point, it says. I don't know. Kind of crazy, weird career for him. But yeah, there you go. Those are the guys involved with the broadcast. All right, let's get into it now. K-State kicks off to start the game. Texas A&M gets the ball, and for a game that has a lot of fireworks, you know that they can't go very long without big plays happening, and it comes almost instantly in this one.
And a handoff, a short gain, and then a fumble. Kansas State says they've got it. They do.
The first thing we talked about in the Fearless Predictions, protect the football, compete in the line of scrimmage. Right there, that was a loss up front, and you cannot give the ball away specifically in your own territory. Right there, it's just a simple matter of effort and a great job by that defensive line of Kansas State of tackling the football. When you do that, good things will happen, and right now for Kansas State and their offense, they have the opportunity to have the football going in the 30-yard line in the red zone and get some points on the board early.
That is only the 5th fumble and turnover by Texas A&M the entire season.
So you get early action from the K-State defensive line. Drew criticized this play call when he started watching last night because he texted me. But Daniel Calvin and Jeffrey Fitzgerald get in there and are able to force the fumble, and K-State's in good position early.
Like, I'm sorry to Mike Sherman if for whatever reason you're watching this, but like I feel like I'm gonna toast you through most of this. That was the most unserious play call of all time. You go incompletion and then fullback dive. Like, what did you expect to happen there? Like, he doesn't fumble, they get a yard, and it's 3rd and 9. Like, congrats, Mike.
Yeah. So K-State gets the ball. They are set up, ready to go. And early on, I think probably everybody's 2 favorite players from the 2009 season set up a touchdown for K-State to immediately take the lead.
They have capitalized, but not as much as they need to. There's a look at a young man that has a 6-year granted to him. That's Grant Gregory, and he's a guy that transferred from South Florida. His first college start was the game that we did 2 weekends ago at Arrowhead against Iowa State. He was 16 for 23 in that game. 3rd down here for Kansas State. Gregory, little play action, fires and caught inside the 10 and a first down. That's Banks, the speedster. 1st and goal now for the Wildcats.
That is a great job by the quarterback when you look at what he can do. It's a simple play action. His read is low to high. He looks for the flat first. If he has it, takes it. If not, take a peek to number 83, Banks, dealing on the corner out. He said his favorite route is throwing a corner, and you saw that early in the game and expect to see it again.
Well, Banks 3rd in the Big 12 and 15th in the NCAA in all-purpose yards. 6-0, Kansas State. Thomas. And just like that, a 7-yard run. And the Sea of Purple loving it here in Manhattan.
Got a chance to spend some time with Frank Greger earlier this week, and he said it's important we get off to a good start. Not only throwing the football, but running it. And Thomas is the man that can do it. Every element of this offense will go through number 8, and that has occurred thus far in their first drive, which was a scoring drive at Kansas State, and they're faithful. They are fired up at Bill Snyder Family Stadium.
So 4 plays, 29 yards after the turnover by Texas A&M. Extra point up and good. Daniel Thomas, the former JUCO quarterback, signed with Kansas State in 2008. He's now in their backfield.
All right, so K-State on the board, 7-0. There's a lot of great stuff in there for guys that are going to show up when we discuss random players. Later on, we had running back Jarrell Childs hanging out right there. We've got the immortal Braden Wilson. In 2009, he's in there.
Always shows up.
He is a KSO Classic legend. He's on the Mount Rushmore of KSO Classic, and I don't think we've actually seen him touch the ball. He just appears in every single clip that we've ever watched.
We do see him catch a ball, though, in this game.
Yes, that is true. So K-State is
by the way,
that was a beautiful start to the game.
That was also the most Bill Snyder thing of all time. Like, they go up 7-0, and he's talking to Daniel Thomas because he lost the ball, even though he was clearly down in the end zone, to still talk about it.
Yeah, no Jalen Daniels situation there, but Bill was still on him. And there were multiple occurrences in this game. It became clear quickly that K-State was going to roll Texas A&M, and Bill was not going to let anything slide, which obviously is what a lot of people, including his past players, would probably say made him so great at what he did. Was that he was always focused on what you should be doing right, not that, hey, everything's going our way. Things did continue to go K-State's way, though, because I'm going to show you a bunch of plays backed up on each other right now because, like I said, it's fireworks galore. Maybe I should have saved this for our 4th of July KSO Classic because it's play after play after play, and the offense scores 62 points in this game, but the defense was equally as impressive in this one. And honestly, they probably made more big plays than the offense did.
Agreed.
In this one. So here we go. We start on defense and then the change of possession, which will feature Brandon Banks once again.
Play clock is at 5. A handoff, and they'll go nowhere. Bada, who is 6'4", 300 pounds, shed his man here and made the play.
Yeah, and you'll see right now, the reason they ran this play is Tannehill's in the game at receiver. And whenever he's in at wide receiver, the former backup quarterback, or the current backup quarterback, the former quarterback at Texas A&M, they usually throw it him down the seam. They tried a little trick variation, didn't really work with the run.
So 3rd down and 11 here. Johnson flush from the pocket. He'll be brought down. And the sack inside the 10. Jeffrey Fitzgerald is a senior transfer. He sat out of last year for K-State, transferring from Virginia. He was a freshman All-American in 2006.
Right now, the quarterback Johnson is not finding any rhythm. And defensive coordinators Chris Kosh and Vic Koenig, they came from Maryland and Clemson, where they pressured a lot in the ACC conference, especially when you see a new quarterback who can run. You do not want to give him lanes and sit back in coverage. You want to attack him, and that's what they've done thus far in the first quarter.
Now Ken Wood has to kick it away, and it was almost blocked. Banks with a lot of room here. He'll field it at the 45. Watch out. Oh, what a block. There he goes. And then he is wrapped up and brought down via the helmet. And so that's an easy call and a flag on the play. What a hit, though, on the return.
They have not had much success in the punt team for Texas A&M.
The crowd knew instantly once Brandon Banks picked it up, they're like, okay, here comes a show. I mean, what a strategy by Texas A&M to not even block on the first play that we showed you there. Totally untouched. And then that became a very common picture throughout the night for Texas A&M and the quarterback situation going down in the backfield. A couple things to catch you up to speed here. K-State ended up getting the ball back, and they had to settle for a field goal inside the 10-yard line on the next drive. That was set up by Josh Moore and John Hulick on the defensive drive right after the touchdown from K-State, making some plays to stall A&M. So they send Josh Cherry out to attempt a field goal. To this point in time, his kicking stats on the season, Drew, did you pick up on what it was when he went out for the field goal?
I remember them saying that it wasn't good.
He was 2 of 7 on the season with a long of 39 yards. It's just kind of insane that a guy would keep his job. I mean, that's probably how bad the kicking situation was for K-State during that time. And then you kind of realize how much of a godsend the Cantelli brothers ended up being for K-State, given how the first couple of years of Bill 2.0 went. Okay, so K-State gets the ball back. They get extra yards because of the penalty that was added on for the tackle at the end of the punt return, and Daniel Thomas didn't take too long to find the end zone for his second rushing touchdown of the night.
By Dana Demel thus far with that staff.
And the ball is on the 3-yard line, 2 yards shy of a first down. Little option play, yes, 6. Second touchdown for Thomas, 16-0, Kansas State.
Whenever you see the option, I'm sure everybody's sitting at home saying, someone has the quarterback and somebody has the pitch man. That's how you teach stopping the option. But right there, the outside defender, the corner, he went with the receiver and he did not protect the outside lane, and it was a walk for number 8, Daniel Thomas. A good job by the defensive end tackling the quarterback. Nobody had the pitch man.
How about the dangerous late pitch that you're giving up like 4 yards on it, but it worked with Daniel Thomas and Grant Gregory, and K-State 17-0 already. And this is where I wish I was a little bit older and had like a better memory of this game in the moment, because it feels improbable to look back on it now, and I could only imagine that it was even more that in the moment. But when a game starts the way that it does there, I think you're immediately alleviated of thinking that you're going to watch a close game. Like, it's clear that this is just going to be a fun butt kicking from start to finish.
No, I 100% agree. Like, this is about the point where it's like, oh, how many points are going to get scored in this game? Because it was clear that A&M was just going to go backwards on offense, and that K-State was just going to be able to run down their throat. That play, a rare occasion where I think you and I both would have scored. Like, there wasn't anybody in the same zip code as Daniel Thomas.
Yeah, so that play, all courtesy of Grant Gregory's pitch that we just talked about there. Okay, so K-State on the board, 17-0 at this point. They are rolling. A couple of other things that have happened during the broadcast that I wasn't going to show you because it's not all that important, but I want to make note of it. There were all types of problems early in this game. The score bug was not working for the first 2 drives of the game, and then when they did finally get it working, it came out and said that Texas A&M had first and goal from like the K-State 23-yard line. And then in addition to that, they did run a scout.com ad multiple times throughout this game, which, I mean, could you just imagine now, running On 3 or Rivals ads in the middle of the game, and it's like, hey, go check out KSO and whatever else whoever they're playing, you say, hey, go check out KSO and Jayhawk slant during a game. Like, pretty wild to think about that. And then the other thing that hit me was the amount of specific networks in this era that were focused solely on college sports. Because at this time, obviously, there was ESPNU, which was, the GOAT of this. FCS, where it wasn't just like one FCS. There were a bunch of regional FCSs, Fox College Sports, that covered the different areas. And then there was also, this would have been the time that CSTV was transitioning into CBS College Sports Network, which, College Sports Television was what CSTV was. That, by the way, for any big MLB Network viewers out there, that's where Greg Amsinger got his start. I remember watching him on CSTV, and then, MLB Network opens up in 2009 and he's on there. So pretty crazy to think just how much specific time had been devoted during this time frame to college athletics. And now you're down to only ESPNU, really. And even that is very rarely showing any specific college programming now. They've lost a good chunk of the games that they even show with the kind of influence of ESPN Plus and some of the other TV rights holders. So it's really disappointing for I think a lot of K-State fans and other fan bases similar out there, because those would probably be the TV channels that we would have on the most in our households.
Yeah, it really goes to show also just how regionalized college football and college sports still were in this time period, uh, compared to now. Because now, like, it's every game is national. Every game, there's not a 2:30 ABC game that is also like one in one part of the country and another part of the country. Like, everything was just so much more regionalized, and every game just felt so big. Like, this game had in
Yeah.
the first lead in that we didn't even show, like, Sam Steele, gotta call her by her proper name
Yep.
this time, did like a
Some would
5 minute
refer to that as her
intro.
maiden name.
She did like a 5 minute intro for
Yeah.
this game before they even sent it up to the booth. Like, every game just felt so big in this
Yeah.
time period, and it just doesn't anymore, which is sad.
A couple of other things on that. FCS was showing every Big 12 coaches show. They were running promos throughout that. That, hey, the Bill Snyder show is going to air every like Tuesday at 4:30 in the afternoon or something, that they popped up on there. And then just kind of thinking, you're right. Like, when you had a game on TV anywhere, it felt big, because this was the era where you were still having some games that you wouldn't see. And within that, like, I can remember, I think I shared the story at one point or the other. But like, you would go seek out either, this is really like cable TV at its peak, where you were paying for extra packages just because you might get to watch 2 extra K-State football games in a season with FCS. Or, like, before, some of these cable channels were widely distributed and included in more generic packages. Like, I remember my dad doing the free trial of like Cox's like extended cable package, so we could watch the Texas Bowl against Rutgers on NFL Network. And so they bring in the box, and I know I've told this story before, because I thought it was the best week of my life. It's Christmas break. We are getting more channels than we've ever had. And sure, yeah, we're going to get to watch K-State playing a bowl game again, but we were getting Boomerang, and I was like, yeah, this is what I really like to see. So it's just crazy to think how much this has changed, because now you're going to watch every game, and I won't even say that you take it for granted at this point, because it's something that should just happen in this day and age. But 17 years ago, it was a far different time, and it added a little bit. I don't know. That's why I think these FSN broadcasts, FSN, FCS, feel so special to people like us, because it was a big deal at the time. And this was, you're getting your flowers, just like the Big 12 Network TV basketball broadcasts that would show up on like My TV Wichita or the Fox affiliate. Like, that's the stuff that's always going to kind of stick out, because that was important. Okay, so some other game stuff to get us back on track here. Von Miller continues to do absolutely nothing. K-State is they are willing to kill a man on the punts. They continue to go after them. I think they really thought they were going to block one in this game. They get the ball back after Josh Moore comes away with another near interception. He by the time we get to early second quarter, Josh Moore has had about 3 interceptions that he should have had. He was the OG Marquise Siegel in this game.
Yeah. He had 2 on like the first like 5 plays that A&M ran.
Yeah, and John Hulick, another all-timer on KSO Classic. He is also killing people in this. So K-State gets the ball back, and it starts moving the ball with one of my favorite forgotten cats. I know a lot of you watching this, you've not forgotten him, but I always like when he gets his flowers. One of the greatest tight ends in K-State football history, Jaron Mistrud, catches a bomb from Grant Gregory, and it'll set up Daniel Thomas's 3rd touchdown of the game early in the second quarter.
The senior that made that play, Snipes, and he's been lifted from the ball game and now standing on the sideline. So it drops him back to 1st down and 15. Gregory looking, has a man, the big tight end, caught inside the 30. Jaron Mastro, the tight end from Beaverton, Oregon.
A real nice job by this quarterback. You see Von Miller squeezing down on that run fake. That's what happens when you have success running the football. He gets his hat on the quarterback, but still a big-time play. They've been setting it up all evening on the rollouts. They haven't covered the tight end on the backside, and that's what happened. A great job by the quarterback of keeping his eyes downfield. They make it competitive and see how he does, and we'll evaluate it from there.
Thomas, touchdown! 9-yard touchdown run for Thomas. And what a first half he's had for Kansas State.
That offensive line is having their way up front right now. I think you and I could have followed that hole right there and scored. And this is what sets up when your quarterback has had some success running the football. Now you've got to defend both sides of the field, and up front at defensive end or defensive tackle, you do not want to have to think. You probably have a difficult time doing it anyway when you're a D lineman. You do not want to have to think. You want to react and make plays, and that right there is an absolute instance of where the coordinators did a nice job of setting up plays and understanding what to call.
Well, Von Miller with a borderline dirty hit right there. That would have been 15 extra yards in today's era of football. Back then, that's just, making the play you're supposed to, but a little late. And so K-State now has increased the lead to 24-0, and the good vibes continue with Daniel Thomas's third touchdown.
This is about the time where I realized that Yogi Roth had no idea what was going on, because this was like right before the play. I think it might have been the previous drive. He was just calling Grant Gregory Carson Kaufman, which is why he ends up just saying the quarterback threw it deep.
So we are getting closer to, I don't think I saved it, but maybe I did. So maybe it's in there, so I won't give it away. He says something really, really stupid after the next touchdown that we will bring up. A couple of other things to note there. Daniel Thomas goes back to the bench. They are sewing his nameplate back on the sideline. Like they've got the needle and the thread out there, and they're trying to get the nameplate back on. Also, I mean, this is 2009. They are heavy on trying to get people to use Twitter to interact during the game. We had multiple Twitter mentions on here. They're flashing graphics saying, hey, hit up Sam Steele on Twitter, talk about this game. Like I said, there's probably only 10,000 people watching this game on FCS to begin with because it's not widely distributed. And then I can only imagine that in the infancy of Twitter that Sam Steele wasn't getting too many people wanting to talk about K-State, Texas A&M in 2009.
No, I 100% agree with you, but they did kept playing that with the funky music that they had to go with it too.
Yes, they did. Okay, so Texas A&M gets the ball back. They start moving it. You're going, uh-oh, here we go. But the drive is about to stall out. They have 4th and long coming up, and when you're already down 24-0, you've got nothing good going for you. Mike Sherman's already made a lot of effort calls in this game, and so he says, why not go for it on 4th down? And it's the kind of play that is classic K-State. If you're a K-State fan, it'll drive you nuts. But everybody's bacon is saved on defense by Tyson Hartman on the very next play.
They are 2 for 8 in this spot this year. He could take it himself. With a little room, can he get to the first down marker? Still on his feet. It'll be very close depending on the spot. I think he got it.
A nice job by him tucking and running. But I love the call. Mike Sherman, he calls the offensive plays for Texas A&M. And he's going to take risks, and he can feel his football team. He needs to give them something positive, let them know that they have got the confidence in you. And right now, the QB tucking and running is infusing that offense.
So they get the first down. Johnson over the middle. It's picked off. Receiver just quit his route, it looked like. And Texas A&M has turned it over. Tannehill was there, and then the interception. And this is Hartman with the interception. He just stopped his route.
Yeah, I don't know if Tannehill thought it was just going to be a simple 10-yard stop route, or he was supposed to break it to the crossing route, which he did not do. You wouldn't think they would be on a different page considering they sit in the same meeting rooms. Tannehill is the backup quarterback, Mr. Everything. He is their 3rd down specialist at wide receiver. And the streak, just like that.
So it may just be because of, like, hey, me growing up, like these are the guys that were kind of important. Just like I always talk about how Mike Sweeney's my favorite Royal of all time, even though I was 10 years old by the time he played his last season in Kansas City. But it's because these are the guys that got me into it. This defense is just littered with dudes that I remember and love. And so, I mean, you see it right there, all those guys walking by each other. Obviously, Tyson Hartman is one of those guys, but we've talked about Josh Moore already in this game, and you see him come through there. Emmanuel Lemur, just a legend in the 2009 season. So there's a lot going on. Well, really 09 through 11 for Emmanuel Lemur. And that's a guy that I talk a lot about championship teams where you go, I wish this guy could have been here one extra year and been a part of it. He's a dude that you really wish could have been on the 2012 team. So you see all those guys kind of working their way in and through all this in K-State. Quarterback situation here. They're trying to blame Ryan Tannehill, receiver Ryan Tannehill during this. We talk a lot about standing in the pocket. Gerard Johnson had no interest in staying in the pocket on this play. The second that he saw that pressure coming off the right side, he's just like, I'm getting the ball out of my hands, and it was thrown right to Tyson Hartman.
Like, I think that it's kind of like equal blame. Tyson Hartman is also kind of becoming like more of a legend than he already is because of KSO Classic. This is the third interception that we've seen by Tyson Hartman in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Also, I guess I should also mention that Tyson Hartman is very clearly a guy. I think I brought it up before, but he's a dude that you wish would have been on the 2012 team.
Yes,
as well. Not just because safety depth also started to become a problem in 2012, but just solely dude deserved to be there. He was such a big part of it. So, okay, K-State gets the ball back now. Tyson Hartman has the interception. Everybody's having a great time here. And so right after this is where we are going to get Daniel Thomas's fourth touchdown of the game. There's a little bit of a jump here. And a reminder, if it's not in here, I will read the quote to you. But be on the lookout for what Yogi Roth has to say about Texas A&M.
Play. Ball on the 17. Out of the Wildcat formation. Thomas still on his feet. This will be his fourth touchdown already in the first half for Kansas State.
He's at another level right now. He is playing so much faster and so much more physically instinctive than anyone else on the football field right now, and he is feeling comfortable. Remember, he came in as a running back, or he came in as a quarterback. Now he is a running back. He is finally becoming comfortable. A few games into the season in conference play, he looks dynamic, explosive, and a big-time back for Kansas State.
So 11 plays, 70 yards, took 5 minutes and 39 seconds. Thomas with 3 100-yard rushing games this season. Well, he already has 91 yards tonight. And we still have a minute 2 to play in our first half, and they have made it 31-0.
So a couple things. Drew's dad wanted us to be on the lookout for an injury there. You can definitely see it. It ended up being a little awkward for him to get into the end zone on that. We got Daniel Thomas in the Wildcat, which is iconic here. A reminder, Daniel Thomas, 16th best quarterback since 2006 for K-State. We ranked those last year. Don't you forget, if you want to go find that list, we had him ahead of Jacob Knuth, Joe Huebner, Samuel Lemur, Jake Rubley, John Holcomb, Angelo Pease, Jaron Lewis, Nick Ast, and Zach Davidson. And we are still asking, who is Zach Davidson? I really wish we got more and we could have put him higher on the list. I felt a little dirty about him being a running back, but I'll save it for what ifs later, but I've got one for that. Anyways, the quote that Yogi Roth says after this, there's a minute left in the first half. A&M is down 31-0. He says, quote, "This is kind of fun for that other side now. How are we going to respond?" Dude, 31-0 first half. I don't think there's anything fun about that, even if you're like, hey, let's see a little good fight or something. I thought that was a just insane comment by him.
Especially when it's pretty clear at this point that the fight is all gone from A&M. They're getting pushed around on both sides of the line of scrimmage. It's going K-State's way the entire way. It's pretty clear that this is going to be how many points does K-State want to score.
Yeah. A&M would love to just get on the bus and go home right now. Okay, so we get the Daniel Thomas touchdown and all that. I'm about to play for you the longest clip of today's show because there is a lot that goes on here, and this may be the best stretch of the game. And we're really in the thick of it. K-State scores a touchdown on 6 straight touches of the football in terms of possessions in this one. One of them ends up being a special teams play that we'll show you in a little bit. But they had 6 consecutive drives where they got 42 points out of this game from Texas A&M, and we are right in the heart of it, but it continues solely because the defense continues to make play after play. So here is K-State with the best moment of this game against Texas A&M in 2009.
Night it's been for the Aggies.
You see 4 turnovers this season, and then the mistakes that they've had tonight. They'll set up a screen here. Watch out. Whoa, what a hit. My goodness. He has been all over the place tonight. By the way, the 4 touchdowns, last time it happened by an individual. Watch this hit here. Hello. That was Josh Freeman. And by the way, Josh Freeman now in the National Football League with Tampa Bay, the quarterback. He did that against Texas A&M, ironically enough, in 2008. For Mike Sherman, you might want to just run the football and say, boys, let's regroup here at halftime.
Yeah, you'd love to do that because right now, as you see, they are shooting themselves in the foot, and this young team of A&M is not handling adversity at all.
Wow. 15 seconds to go. And now, if you're Kansas State, you've got one timeout.
On your bottom. On your bottom.
More cracks at the end zone if you want them.
Oh, and they're going to take them. That's a simple mistake by the back. I mean, it's a young guy, Christian Michael, a young running back. You've got to secure the football. It's all about the ball, protected. That's where they've had their success this season and not turning it over. And right now, this evening, putting the ball on the turf or throwing picks is leading to A&M, obviously down 31-0. It's going to be more, but mentally they are getting demoralized. You saw it after the fumble. A&M is jumping and running off the field, or excuse me, Kansas State is jumping and running off the field, and A&M is slow to get up, and they are just hanging those heads on that sideline.
And so this will be Gregory with 5 wide receivers, empty backfield, feels the pressure, now to the middle, touchdown! My goodness! 16-yard touchdown reception.
A great job by the tight end. Probably the worst spot on that A&M defense is the middle linebacker position. You see right there, Michael Hodges, number 37 in the middle. The tight end, as the QB steps up in the pocket, just kind of dips on him a little bit, gives him one of those shoulder moves. Instead of going underneath him, goes over the top, and a great touch pass by the quarterback.
Wow. No one saw this tonight. The Wildcats here at home on a cool evening in the middle of October are thumping the Aggies of Texas A&M. That is remarkable. By the way, the fumble recovery was done by a young man that came to this program as a quarterback, and that sets up the touchdown. It's now 38-0 Kansas State.
A great play call right there. Thinking they're going to run, the linebacker's playing downhill. You drop your quarterback back. He steps up in the pocket, protected well. Everything you coach, everything you teach. Tight end on a great route. Kind of dips on the middle linebacker, gets over the top of him, and wide open in the end zone. Right now, Kansas State, game plan-wise, they're doing a very nice job offensively.
All right, so there you go. What a stretch there for everybody. You're wondering, how is this going to work out? We get a Colin Klein catching the lone touchdown reception of his career to close out the half for K-State. Just wide open once again. And a few other things that I want to make mention here. This is why this game is a great one for KSO Classic. You get stuff like this with Colin Klein, but also this would be like the position change bowl, because obviously Colin Klein goes from receiver to quarterback. Okay, we know about that. We already mentioned that you get to see running back Jarrell Childs sitting on the bench for K-State. We know that Daniel Thomas obviously was a quarterback, became a running back. In this clip, you also see sitting out because he transferred. Number 4 quarterback Chris Harper becomes a receiver in his career. And then some other notables in this, with Ryan Tannehill on the other side ends up making a position change. Joe Kasanovoid, who recovers the fumble, he switched from playing quarterback to playing on defense. They're all over the place in this game. Well, and Tyson Hartman, he was a quarterback, nonstop. It's wild to think about. And it doesn't feel like that happens as often now in college football as it used to. And maybe that was just a K-State thing, but the last one that I can really remember being kind of earth-shattering like that would have been Keenan Garber. And then before that, it's like Ryan Hennington went from quarterback to being like a 6th-string safety or something. It's just kind of bizarre.
It was incredibly Bill 2.0 to have happen throughout his entire second tenure. More just bad stuff from Yogi, like tripling down that Klein was a tight end without actually ever saying his name.
He just saw a white guy. Yeah, that was maybe the worst. That was borderline racist by Yogi Roth in this game to just say a white guy catching a football tight end.
And then also continuing to just say the quarterback because he can't remember if it's Carson Coffin or Grant Gregory. And my favorite part was the little shoulder shake. He couldn't figure out how to say it, so he waited until it actually happened and saw it on the replay. But my favorite play from this game is actually the last play before the half when Texas A&M fumbles again.
And it doesn't matter because
it doesn't matter because it's the last play of the half and there's no time left.
I don't know that they actually credited it as a fumble and a recovery by K-State, but I wrote that down. I said A&M fumbled it into the half as well. Fitzgerald recovered. So I want that written down, put it into the record.
Yeah, okay. Ryan Lackey, if you're listening to this.
Yeah, again, and I'm not going back to look to make sure that one got counted, but I want somebody that's in charge of that to do that. Okay, I mentioned we're going to get more Sam Steele in this game. Here we go, a classic walk and talk with Bill Snyder going into the tunnel.
Coach, I know you're not a very excitable guy, but right now the guys are making huge hits. They're making plays. What's gotten into your boys?
Well, we're just playing a little bit better. We're making fewer mistakes than what we've made in the past. We've been fortunate in a lot of situations here that, A&M just had some difficulty with some of the things they normally do pretty well. But we've got a lot of time left here. And I saw them score a lot of points last week against Oklahoma State. So, this is by no stretch of the imagination over.
All right, good luck, Coach.
Thank you, Derek.
All right, Sam, good job. Sam was almost taken into the locker room by Bill Snyder. I mean, all the way up the ramp.
Yeah, that's there's just so
classic.
Much there that's a classic for K-State football in this era. Okay, so it's halftime. It's 38-0. And remember, Yogi Roth said this is kind of fun now for A&M. They can see if they can fight back. It's all good. It continues to be not very fun for them because the tone of the game does not change after the halftime break because Brandon Banks does what Brandon Banks does best at the very start of the second half.
We did not anticipate a 38-0 lead at the half.
No, we didn't. They're just dominating the line of scrimmage right now, running the football and doing whatever they want on offense. And defensively, for Texas A&M, they can't stop anybody. They can't get anything going.
And the kick will be taken by Banks inside his own 5. To the 15, to the 20. Look out. There he goes. One man to beat. Cuts it back in. There he goes. He's going to score. And the second half starts just like the first half. All Kansas State, 96 yards. And the first play of the second half for Brandon Banks. Are you kidding me?
His third return of the year. Mr. Electricity tonight, all thus far this season, and right there on that return. And A&M, this drive, defensively, on the kickoff, you were supposed to make a statement and say, we're still going to play another 30 minutes of football, and that did not happen, if anything's indicative of that first return.
He leads the Big 12 in kick return yards. He came in at 588. His return average is 28. That's on the rise. And now his third return for a touchdown here in 09 on a kickoff. I'll tell you what, you've got Kansas State upcoming. Watch out.
All right, so a pretty electric way to start things. Only half of the attendees saw it, though, because there were a bunch of people out there eating their cold hot dogs and warm beers, I'm sure, with their pass outs. Thank God those exist. So K-State in great shape. And look, the beatdown is only going to continue after that. So Brandon Banks, it's very electric. They are not slowing down. K-State's going to go out, make a play on defense. Very first play of the second half for Texas A&M. And then Josh Moore finally gets what he has been alluding to all game long.
Freshmen is they have really high highs and really low lows. And once they get this low, it is hard to bounce back. But I can tell you right now, these Wildcats are enjoying this high.
45-0, showing blitz here. Brought down inside the 10 at the 8. That's Calvin, the big man.
They are dominating every element of this football game. Offense, defense, special teams, you name it right now. And when you're a young player, you need to do things right consistently. And right now, you see this comparison on plays and time of possession. That is not the case for Texas A&M.
Lost 9 on the play, looking to the sideline, and it's picked off. Picked off. Can they take it in? Knocked out of bounds at the 14-yard line. This young man has had a huge night. Is he something else? Joshua Moore, he's been all over the field. Second interception here in 2009 for Moore.
And when it rains, it pours right there. He sets his feet, he throws the football, a great play over the top, and the corner Moore comes up with it on the deflection, and away he goes. It's really interesting when you look at young players. Young players at the Division I level in high school, they probably won every game. They probably played well every time they'd lace them up. And right now, when you're faced with that for the first time as a freshman or a sophomore, it is uniquely different. You do not know how to respond, and that's what's going on right in the air right now at every single position for A&M.
Touchdown. 9-yard touchdown run. If you are on the other sideline right now in Texas A&M, this second half could not have started any worse.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah, it's a very light way of putting things. So 52-0 at this stage of the game for K-State, and Keithan Valentine finds the end zone for the first time in the game.
Incredibly funny that the interception that Joshua Moore makes is actually the toughest one that he could have had off the deflection by our guy, Emmanuel Lemire.
Yeah, and kind of just taking stock of how all this is playing out in the game and for K-State on defense here. If you listen to the mic in this, you can hear on the Banks touchdown return and then the Josh Moore pick, the microphones cannot handle the crowd noise at this point. It starts to crackle and fizzle out. And don't worry, K-State was going to get another touchdown from Keithan Valentine. He goes out and he gets his second one of the game shortly after.
Especially the young guys. They'll be hearing from the juniors and seniors and the starters saying, hey, look what we did in the first 2 and a little bit more quarters of action here on the football field. Protect the goose egg.
And Kaufman again will hand it off. Little change of direction to the outside. Back inside. Back in the end zone. A 19-yard touchdown run.
And he is a good back. I mean, he leads the conference in yards per play and does a really nice job. He considers himself a starting running back, even though Thomas has obviously taken the load. He is their purest running back in terms of understanding how to read defenses and defensive linemen. In fact, he's the one who taught Daniel Thomas a lot about the position.
All right, so there we have it. Final touchdown of the game right there for K-State comes courtesy of Keithan Valentine, and that closes the book on a lot of the major happenings in this game. So Keithan Valentine ends up with 10 for 61 and 2 touchdowns on the day. Daniel Thomas 18 for 91 and 4 touchdowns. And then Brandon Banks, 6 catches for 60 yards. And he had the 1 touchdown in the game. So pretty impressive the way that things worked out for this one.
I mean, this was as big of a butt kicking against a Big 12 school as you could ever want. The only bad part about it was that you couldn't preserve the shutout.
Eventually they had to kind of, just let Texas A&M do some things. And there were some sad attempts by the Aggies in this one, like how the game ends with another turnover. And look, KSO class, we always show touchdowns and turnovers.
I was hoping that you still clipped this.
I did. Here we go.
In the middle, intercepted.
First thing you're going to tell your quarterback on this, you didn't need to get out of the pocket. Sit in the pocket. When you get out of the pocket, he threw relatively off his front foot on that one.
So there you go. There's what you want to do.
Keeping the starters in when you're down 62-14 with 5 minutes left, just so they could maybe get a pity touchdown and then he throws an interception, is hilarious.
Yeah, very bizarre what they were doing there. Hey, did you notice who snuck into the frame on that picture there? A very notable last name in K-State athletics history.
Oh, you got to back it up.
Okay, let me play it again for you and just watch for the number 45 rolling into the frame. We saw him a little bit earlier on one, and I was going to make note of it for kind of our random player segment.
In the middle, intercepted.
First thing you're going to tell your quarterback on this, you didn't need to get out of the pocket.
Oh,
did you see?
Yeah.
Brian Rolletter's brother.
That is a great little tease in there. My random player didn't actually play in this game.
Okay, all right. Well, I can't wait to talk about it. We'll get to that here in a little bit. 2 other clips from the broadcast I wanted to show you. Colin Klein did have another catch. We have to show that, so here it is.
On A&M, once again, you're going to deal with a heavy rush next weekend.
Texas Tech beat Nebraska 31-10 today. And as we mentioned before, it was Texas over Oklahoma. The final there was 16-13. Pass completed, a 5-yard pickup at the half. Colorado leading 24-3 over KU. Iowa State.
All right, there you go. Colin Klein, another catch for him. And just so everybody gets a full feel for what this was like, it was Harley Day. And Sam Steele, a classic. And anytime there is a sideline reporter for Harley Day, they are getting on the back of a motorcycle with somebody. Here is Sam Steele's report on Harley Day, and really that there's no reason for it other than the team had kind of been sucking, and they thought, hey, this might get people excited. And for some reason, it has continued to get people excited.
One of the things they've done is inserted this thing called Harley Day, where, well, there's really no exact purpose to Harley Day. They just bring out about 100 Harleys, ride them around the stadium right before kick, and I happened to get on one today and get a ride. But, guys, it was awesome. They just do it because the fans get excited about it, and they love it, and, well, they seem to still be pretty excited. Can't imagine why.
How was the travel around the stadium?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I was a little nervous because I wasn't sure about the speed. The guy that I was riding with, he was awesome. Kept me happy about the whole thing, but it was great. It was fun. I was pretty excited. They tried to get me to wear a purple bandana, but I wasn't having it. Got to stay neutral, you know?
I understand.
We need to start getting Harleys for our travel instead of just the cars that we get. Man. It'd be sweet.
I also love that after they talk about Harley Day and they're having a fun segment, they go back to the guy laying on the ground injured. So there you go. That is the full scope of what took place in K-State's 62-14 win over Texas A&M in 2009. We have to give props to Hugh Cat, as always, as the GOAT early historian of K-State football on TV and having the game in full on there. This has always been a fascinating game, and one that as soon as we, talk about Colin Klein catching a touchdown, we knew we had to do it at some point, and it felt fitting to do it during this early part of the slate. So we have that now.
This also just is like a cult classic game because of how ugly it gets.
Yeah.
Like, this is definitely a deeper cut.
Be careful.
a deep cut of what we're gonna do this season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So there we go, 62-14. It's time now to dive into kind of the rest of our breakdown from this. We'll give you our best play, worst play, all that other stuff. But first, we always have a trivia question. So, Drew, we talked about Daniel Thomas earlier in this game and his 4 touchdowns, how it should have been more, and he could likely be leading one of the records in K-State football history. He is one of 7 non-quarterbacks at K-State to rush for 4 touchdowns in a game. Can you tell me who the other 6 are?
Wow. I mean, just an unbelievable question for you. Darren Sproles has to be one of them.
Darren Sproles is. I don't think he is one of them. I have it on the graphic on the next page. I didn't want to bring it up though.
You're telling me that 7 non-quarterbacks had 4 touchdowns in a game, and Darren Sproles isn't one of them?
I know. I know. Yeah, he is not one of them. So that's unfortunate error there for you. You got 5 guesses left. I give you 6 to try to fill up as much as you can.
All right. We'll go Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn is not one of them.
This is how crazy like touchdowns can be if those 2 aren't on here.
Yeah.
I want to say another one that I have like loaded
2 of the
up.
guys on this list, they accomplished the feat twice in their career.
That doesn't really help me.
I know.
I have another one like kind of loaded up, but like now I'm gun shy. Like in the game against UCF, did DJ get 4 rushing touchdowns?
He did. DJ Giddens is the most recent to do it, 2023 against UCF.
Okay, now I'm at least on the board, so I don't feel as bad about myself.
Yep. You got 3 guesses remaining, 5 names still out there.
What era are we in for the rest of these guys?
So a lot of them happened in, let's see, 3 of them happened in Snyder 2.0, and then the other 2 were in 1.0.
Oh, I hate that I'm about to guess this. One of them is probably Winston Dimmel.
Winnie, yes. 2016 against Florida Atlantic, my first ever home game as a K-State student. Winston Dimmel, 4 touchdowns.
Yay.
All right, 2 guesses left for you.
I'm going to take a stab and say Alex Barnes.
Alex Barnes did it twice.
Okay.
I can't, the specific games, I believe it was, one of them was against Oklahoma State, I believe. And the other, I'd have to go back and confirm. Was it a Baylor game? Did he have 4?
And you said there's another one in Bill 2.0?
There is one more in Bill 2.0. Yes.
I'm going to take another stab because I remember he had a game with a lot, and I was kind of upset that Klein didn't get in more. Is it John Hubert?
It is John Hubert. The 2012 game against KU, it was John Hubert. So,
you know, if 3 of those touchdowns go to Klein, does he win the Heisman? Embrace debate.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think after the Baylor game, they weren't giving it to him regardless, even if we believe that to be wrong of them to do. Okay, so the ones that you did not get in this, I'll flash up the answers here. Josh Scobie did it twice in his career, and then Pat Jackson was the first one to do it in 1990 against New Mexico State. You wouldn't have gotten that one, but I figured
I didn't know
you would have had a chance maybe.
I didn't know Pat Jackson was a person.
Yeah, well, he was, and he did it in 1990, apparently. And then Scobie did it twice, which is honestly kind of funny to think about because, like, when you go and you look at, like, Josh Scobie's career at K-State, I think people sometimes think that maybe he's higher in some of these categories than he would have been. But he was a touchdown machine in the 2 seasons that he played at K-State. So he was able to accomplish it twice in his career. The games in particular that they happened in, DJ Giddens, we mentioned against UCF. You have the others there for the single-time guys. Alex Barnes did it in the 2018 game against Oklahoma State, which was a very weird game. That was actually a decent Oklahoma State team, and K-State just kind of handled them. And then he did do it in the 2016 game at Baylor, which I remember watching in the basement of Goodnoe Hall, and he had a pretty good day there. And then for Josh Scobie, he also did it against New Mexico State in 2001, and then he did it in 2000 against Iowa State. So those are your Cats with the non-quarterbacks with the most rushing touchdowns in a single game at K-State. There are plenty of quarterbacks that have done it. We know about the guys that have done it 5 times. We mentioned them earlier. Adrian Martinez, Skylar Thompson, Joe Huebner against TCU, Colin Klein a number of times, Alan Webb. Those are the quarterbacks that had 4 rushing touchdowns in a game. And certainly we remember those 4 rushing touchdowns in the games against Oklahoma that took place for Skylar Thompson and Adrian Martinez. So anyways, there you go. That was the trivia question for the week. I hope you liked that one, Drew.
That was a good one. I was looking up some stats actually more geared towards 09 to get more prepared for a trivia question than what you went with. So
yeah.
that was a good zig when I zagged.
All right, so there we go. We can move on now, and you can start telling me what you thought the best play from the game was, Drew.
So I have 2 nominees, and I think that you have both of them in your top as well. But the one that I'm going to go with was the John Hulick hit that, and late in the first half, was just very
right before the fumble.
Yeah, right before the fumble on the screen. Just felt like that was a big we're up big, but like we're still playing really hard moment.
Yeah.
And also had my favorite crowd reaction, because one thing that we didn't really talk about, the crowd was very into this game, even though it got out of hand. But
yeah, they were laughing the whole way.
But I think that is what I'm going to go with as my number 1. I hope that you go with what I had as my number 2.
I'm assuming that your number 2 and the one that I was going to go with was the Brandon Banks kick return.
Yes.
Yeah. I figured that would be where things went. The defense was truly incredible to watch in this game. And, some of these we do, you go, oh, okay, ho-hum, defense isn't overly entertaining. This was a fun game to watch on both sides of the ball, because there were turnovers, obviously, and those are always big fun plays, but there were big hits, guys just dominating the game all over the place on defense. What was your candidate for worst play of the game?
My worst play, first I had written down up until I saw what I went with, was pretty much any offensive play that Texas A&M ran. But then I ended up, because of the end of the game, I got to go with trying to score the pity touchdown and throwing an interception.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad in this game. I think that my pick is probably, you could go with the fullback dive that turns into a fumble for K-State early, because that kind of sets the tone for the game. But I kind of think that it has to be that whole stretch where we just talked about, the Hulick hit, the fumble that gets forced, and then you give up the touchdown from Grant Gregory to Colin Klein, and it all just kind of avalanches, and then it turns into, that's a bad stretch there. And that fumble, you could have gotten away with just having a guy get his head blown off by John Hulick. Then you turn the ball over on the play after that, and you give K-State a chance to really score again. It's just, this whole game was a calamity of errors for Texas A&M. So you can find bad plays littered all over the place. But I think kind of that string would count into it. That's how bad A&M was. I don't think there's a specific play that you can pick here. I think it's just the entire game was one bad play for Texas A&M.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, no, it was bad for them. This is not a rewatch that A&M fans would want. Okay, what aged well in this game? First, for me, the FSN theme. I think you have to put that in there. I've talked it up. I love it. Harley Day, the longevity, it is still continuing. So I mean, as much as I go, it's kind of dumb, but like it's so much of K-State lore now that I kind of like don't want them to get rid of it, because I think this is kind of what makes college sports fun, is the dumb little traditions you have. And for whatever reason, like some people get really charged up for it. And for others like me, I go, I don't really care, but it's at least kind of a funny thing to be like, yeah, it's ours. We have it. So Harley Day. And then there was a shot in the back of one of the end zones. Shout out to WIBW's Eric Ives. He's just aged well from being the in-house camera guy for football and basketball, still doing it all these years. I don't know that anybody takes their job more seriously on game day than him. Does a great job. So the longevity that he has, just like Harley Day, keeps it going. So shout out to Eric Ives for aging well as a camera guy.
Yeah, so I got a couple things written down that you got to hear me out a little bit on, because we don't see them a ton. But my number one is Twitter. Like the longevity of it, because this was like Twitter in its infancy, and was getting a lot of pub during this.
Okay, thank you.
The next one that I would go with is
I'm almost done.
A guy that wasn't ever on camera, but Buddy Wyatt was on Texas A&M staff at this point. I would say that he aged well. And then another guy that they talk about in the broadcast, but we never saw, Zach Taylor, was offensive coordinator for Texas A&M at this point. So I'd say that he aged well, now an NFL head coach. Is he a good NFL coach? I think he's okay. And then Von Miller.
He's got a crappy quarterback, though.
He does. Von Miller's still in the NFL. Like, that's pretty wild. That we just watched this in 2009, and he's still playing.
Yeah. No, that's all very fair. What aged poorly? Regional broadcasts, I think, are one of those that you look at, and they're not a thing anymore. Everything is essentially a national broadcast. And then the other thing that I made a joke about it with the Banks touchdown return, but it emphasizes it. K-State still having the pass out system in place, and people leaving the stadium to go to their vehicles or whatever. I'm just a hater of it, because I'm not a leave the game early type of person. And I don't want to miss a single minute of the action. Like the sole reason that I got married was because when I go to Royals games, you don't keep going with your mom and dad to, go and get the hot dog for you or go to the concession stand. I needed somebody. Well, my wife doesn't care enough about the game. She'll go do it. I don't want to miss 12 pitches of this game. So to me, that's one of those that stood out as it's still so silly. And look, for people that enjoy it, that's your thing. You can have that. I personally think it's dumb, and I think it's ridiculous to go to a football game and not stay for all of it unless it gets late into the game and it's, completely out of the realm of possibility of winning, and they've given you a bad performance. But K-State was having so much fun and dominating this game, and people were like, no, I'm just going to go back out to the car, munch on some cold dogs.
Aging poorly for me, I got Mike Sherman. I don't know if you did a deep dive on Mike Sherman, but after he gets fired by A&M in 2011, he goes to the Dolphins as their OC and then gets fired. And then he got fired again at a different job in the NFL. And then he goes and he was part of that he went to a high school and then got fired. And then he went to the first rendition of like the fans get to call the plays. And then he also got relieved of duties from there. And then he went to the CFL and resigned after 2 seasons. Like, his coaching career went so downhill after this, which is kind of wild because, like, you read into a lot of his career for the Packers, he kind of got a little bit of an unfair deal. Like, they won the division 4 years in a row, then went 4-12, and he got fired.
It's insane to think about. This guy was an NFL head coach for 6 seasons.
And GM.
It ended up being, I think we found out who he was as a coach, and that, there was probably a little fluky there, but you're right. He was above 500 and made the playoffs in 4 of the first 5 seasons that he coached the Packers. He was above 500 in all five of those seasons. And then he had one back year, and they got rid of him. And it's just crazy to think about that and how it works out. And then his A&M career, they won 9 games the year after 2009, by the way. They went to a bowl game in 2009.
Yeah.
They go 6-7. And then they go to the Cotton Bowl the next year. They were 6-2 in the Big 12. They tied for first in the South. And then the next year they went 6-6 in 2011, and he's gone, and Kevin Sumlin comes in. But that kind of wild to think about his career, and it's a bizarre guy to look back on.
And
okay.
Then, the other thing
ahead.
that aged poorly is scout.com.
Yeah, I was going to say that. But out of respect for Derek Young, I didn't want to take that kind of shot. But yes, it crossed my mind. Okay. Dan McLaughlin eventually lost his job with the Cardinals for some stuff. So I guess he technically aged poorly as well. Speaking of, grade the broadcasters. We've already talked a little down on this. You had a rising star in Sam Steele / Ponder, because she eventually rises up to be one of ESPN's important hosts, and is what she was doing Sunday Countdown. Does she still do NFL Sunday Countdown? I don't know. I definitely do not watch ESPN's pregame show. I'm an NFL Network or Fox guy. But I'd like, that's one that worked out. The other two, it's like, this was a pretty low rate broadcast. So I'm going to give it a C+ because I like the nostalgia of the old FSN stuff, and Sam Steele was a rising star. Everything else, though, the quality and some other issues that it had, it's pretty forgettable.
I mean, you are a lot nicer than I am. I went with a D for this broadcast.
I'm telling you, nostalgia and Sam Steele are doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Like the score bug didn't work for a couple drives. There were a couple times, like the Colin Klein catch.
Oh yeah, come out here.
The Colin Klein catch is one of them where it says that the drive was 16 yards, but the Klein catch was 12 yards, and it was one play. It's like that was another one that I was like, And then Yogi Roth just pissed me off like this entire game. Like he didn't know anybody's names or positions, but was just talking.
Tough go for Yogi Roth. MVP of this game. I think there are a lot of guys that you could pick, and none of them would be a bad answer. I think if Daniel Thomas got the ball in the second half, he's probably the easy answer. But I kind of think that it has to be Josh Moore. The defense as a whole, I would, if I wanted to do the cop-out, I would have given it to all of them because I thought they were awesome. But he's the guy that was relentlessly in the middle of play after play. So I'm going to give it to Josh Moore. I'm going to hope that either you were like, hey, the same thing, but I got another one, or you're different than me.
No, I just went Josh Moore. Like
I
had Josh Moore as my underrated player until he actually caught an interception, and then I swapped him for the guy that I have as my underrated player.
And I was the same way because I was thinking like, yeah, I think but then it was so loud throughout the game that he really can't be underrated. So I figured that he was the best guy to make the MVP. So all right, give your underrated player because I think I might have the same guy.
I went John Hulick. He was everywhere in this game. Like he was awesome. Like he is a KSO Classic legend at this stage of the game. But then I already laid it out. He laid that running back out in that second quarter.
Yeah. I had a couple other guys because I thought Daniel Calvin and Jeffrey Fitzgerald were also awesome in this game.
Yeah.
There weren't a ton of sacks in the game, but a lot of tackles for loss. They were always impacting the quarterback play in this one. So I thought that they deserved their flowers as well. We've already kind of discussed some of the notable moments because they were so notable. We had to get to them earlier. Is there anything else that stood out from this that you're like, this is really telling of the era that we're in, or things that you made note of?
Yeah, I talked about that. They did a little shout out for the Paradise Jam because that was going to be on FCS. So I had that written down, and then
the Paradise Jam, has it aged well? Is that something we would say is aged well?
I think it's just aged. I don't know if it's aged well or not.
Fair.
And then I also have on here just the insistence that they had of saying that Texas A&M was an insanely young team. like got very annoying quickly, especially when the game got so out of hand that they kept bringing it up.
Yeah, it came up a lot. All right, random players. There are a ton of them in here. I won't spoil the one that I know Drew is going with. He got some inside info about this over the weekend. Von Miller obviously stands out because he, like in this game, he really wasn't that much of an impactful player. So then if you would just hear the name, you go, oh, Von Miller. We had guys at a bunch of different positions. The KSO Classic legend, Braden Wilson, who is just in here perpetually. Ryan Tannehill and Colin Klein, 2 years before they would square off as quarterbacks in this stadium in an awesome game. They were playing wide receiver in this one. We talked about Brian Roletter's brother in the game, Jarrell Childs, like all these guys before they really blew up. Here they were playing in this one. But because of the circumstances, this was not just Colin Klein joining the K-State staff. Who is Drew Galloway's random player from this game?
My random player from this game is K-State defensive coordinator Jordan Peterson. He was hurt, so he didn't play, but he was on this team. Had to give it to him a little bit on Sunday because I said that we were going to do this rewatch, and he said doesn't really count because he was already hurt and out for the season. So it doesn't affect him as much.
Which, hey, great attitude there. All right, what ifs? I think for me, we keep going. Any 2009, 2010 game, we just kind of ask ourselves, I wish somebody else was playing quarterback more often. And last week it was Colin Klein. This week I go, what if Daniel Thomas was the quarterback in 2009? What if you just let him play quarterback? Especially when you see how Keithan Valentine ran the ball with the opportunities he's got. He was good enough, and they talked him up throughout this. And how he viewed himself and how the team viewed him. What could have gone wrong with Daniel Thomas playing quarterback in 2009? I think there's a world where Daniel Thomas playing quarterback goes better than splitting time between Grant Gregory and Carson Kaufman.
I mean, if you look at it and see that in the 2009 season, the quarterbacks and Daniel Thomas combined for 7 touchdowns passing and 8 interceptions. I mean, theoretically, it probably doesn't go worse. Like theoretically, it probably doesn't go worse than that.
Yeah, you went 6-6. You know what happens here? I would have liked to have seen it. I want if I could have an alternate reality season for K-State football, that I want to go back to 2009 and make Daniel Thomas be the quarterback all season.
My what if is straight up just game related because we've done a lot of 2009 and 10 throughout this the KSO Classics. Mine is just what if Bill didn't care and just let K-State score however many that they wanted to in this game. Like, how many points do they actually get to if they leave the starters in?
Yeah, that would have been a good one to think about and kind of go back on. It would have been fun to see because they mentioned in here that the 62 points for K-State ends up being the most points in a game since 1999 when they shut out Missouri 66-0. And so you do then start to think about, okay, where could K-State have gone in this one? I'm looking to see the top games for points in a game.
I think they cross 70 if they're allowed to be unleashed throughout.
Yeah. Okay. So this game just barely misses out on the top 10 in K-State history for points scored in a game. I think we've actually talked about this before, the games with the most points scored, but 76 is the record, 2000 against Ball State, 1910, October 17th, 1910. K-State went on the road and hung 75 on Drury. I think in that era, 75, I think that counts more than 70 in this day and age. 1998, the Northern Illinois game, 73 points. That's the game where right before the half, Martin Gramatica got to set the field goal record. Wichita State in 1909, bums. They suck. We knew that, though. 71 points for K-State in that game. The 2008 squad, they dropped 69 on Montana State, so that was more than the Missouri game, but the Missouri was the most in a conference game. And then UL Monroe, 68 in 2002 was in there. And then Akron 67 in 1995, Mizzou the 66 in 99, Indiana State 66 in 1998. KU, a lot of people remember 64-0 in 2002, and then New Mexico State in 2001 was 64. And we mentioned that as the game that Josh Scobie had 4 rushing touchdowns in.
Thinking about like potential KSO classics, somebody put the 0-2 KU game on.
Yes,
on
yes.
YouTube.
We need that in full.
We will 100% do a KSO classic of that.
Yeah, because we've been hunting. Because again, when I sent the schedule out to people, I had you should do this game, and I was like, well, look, that's a great idea if it was somewhere to be found on the internet. But
or Brian Smoller, if you're ever watching this, send us the video.
Yes, somebody send us the highlights here. We need them. So fine, or not even the highlights. We need the full game. We can't just do highlights. I think there are highlights out there. We need the full game. So get us the full game. Other full games for the powers that be that are listening. I want the NIT game against Vermont in full on my desk. I want probably Woolies win in Allen Fieldhouse somewhere to be viewed in full. Let's see other full games that I think that I would like. The Eastern Kentucky game in 2011,
Ooh.
Please. If you get that
Gross.
to us, I won't even ask Colin a real question at Media Days. We'll just sit down and watch that game with him and do an impromptu KSO classic. So I want the disgusting historic games in my brain available right now. Anyways, that is what we have for you. The last thing to do, you have to rate the game, Drew. So what do you give it?
I gave this an 8.2.
We are very similar. I gave it an 8.1.
Lot of points scored, a lot of highlights, and even like a lot of defensive highlights, like you've talked about. And we're not big defensive guys, but the defense in this game was arguably better than the offense.
Yep, it was nonstop in this game. So absolutely, this is one of the best KSO classics we've done from a viewing experience. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. I think this is going to be the longest KSO classic. That tells you just how much we had to go through. Over 20 minutes of highlights that we had to show, 16 clips in total that were cut out of the broadcast. And this was one of my favorites that we've gone back and watched. So if you watch KSO Classic, go back, find the video in full and watch it yourself. It is an entertaining thing if you don't have much else going on. But that'll do it for Drew and I today on KSO Classic. We are back on Monday with a recap of the official visits that take place over the weekend for K-State.